Now, we're going to take a look at what's called the bread and butter of the morning session. It's somewhat of a day in the life of a trader looking for the morning trade. Why is that? Because as traders, we recognize that we have a better opportunity with more participation in the market. Trading is a morning business. You certainly get trades later in the day. However, the bread and butter is what I'm going to describe in this segment. This is inside the numbers. We have a few objectives in the morning. The first one is to identify the pivot. That's the most important thing to me setting up shop in the pre-market. What's our pivot going to be? And why is that important is something you need to know, because you need to have an understanding of why certain trades happen to gain a comfort level that you can be in the trade with the understanding of why and what's going to happen next under normal garden variety conditions. Obviously, not every trade is going to work out. However, we also know before we get into a trade where we're wrong, and we don't get into a trade unless where we're wrong is nearby, aka small and fast. After we identify the pivot, the next objective is to identify the nearest resistance place, the nearest important number above the pivot, and the nearest important number below the pivot. We obviously have backup numbers above and backup numbers below, but our morning trade is centered around trading from and or back to the pivot. Just like at any other time, anywhere else I describe this, in all the other videos, markets are headed to a destination. If you can find the destination, you have the makings of a tradable opportunity. Who's this for? This is an S&P specific situation. ES traders, SPY traders, leveraged exchange traded fund traders, options traders, micro contracts traders. Any trader that's following the S&P can benefit from this information, from this strategy. So the way this works, and we'll use today, which is the day I'm recording this video, as the example in terms of the commentary. I do the work in the pre-market. The commentary begins going up at 0:30. And let's run through today's activity, and we'll look back on the chart to see exactly what happened after the commentary was posted. We start with the bigger picture stuff. It's Turnaround Tuesday. This would be the perfect day for a continuation fake out move down, followed by a reversal sponsored by, of course, Trick & Company. The bigger picture is the market's not finished with Friday's squeeze operation. In recent videos, I've been discussing the fact that on the daily chart, the market was going to trade up to some moving averages. That is precisely what happened. And they become a natural area of overhead resistance. We could be seeing the potential of one of our ABC routines. An A leg up, that would be the most recent rally, a B leg down, which we're presently in, and one more leg up, which would complete above the high of the A leg. We don't know that is what's going on, but that could be what's going on. It's an option. We put some numbers on the board first thing in the morning. 386, give or take, is important. It's support and represents the most recent breakout area. We give stuff below that. It's what's available on the chart. Sometimes they're close by, sometimes they're farther away. There was another number close by, and when that happens, what we know is it becomes a zone. Now you see here at 0:30, and you've already seen this on a chart, the first order of business would be to get above and stay above 388. That's the flip side of south side action. This would be in the bull case. That would then open the door for 389, give or take, and then a nice spike of 390. Let's see what happens as the day begins to get underway. Early in the morning, the market was trading down. So we have an early pivot. That's the same 386. And we've cited some lower stuff. However, what you'll also notice at 9:07, I posted, here come the pre-market thieves. Who are the pre-market thieves? They're the thieves that jammed price upward, leading closer to the opening bell, changing the early schematic on the tape. We're looking at a 5-minute futures chart, including the overnight data, the pre-market data. So of course we cite Trick & Company one more time, and we'll simply wait for the bell to ring and see where the market is. Closer to 9 minutes before the open. Now we've got 387.85. That's important. That was the prior day's closing price. But the bullish pivot is 388.50. You can see the importance of 388.50. Everything right of the vertical line is today's activity. 388.50 is certainly worth knowing about. It is the pivot. Below is bearish, above is bullish. If you can identify the pivot and understand how markets work, you can find success in the market. So we're saying that 388.50 is overhead resistance. We've already seen that on the chart. And therefore, it's a reasonable place to put in a short scalp for a reaction back down in the other direction. We have to know where we're wrong, so if they blow right on through, the less likely scenario, they go to 389, give or take. Here's a 3-minute chart, and we're focusing in on the activity right around the opening bell, where they came into 388.50. They spiked it up to 389, which isn't that far away, and they had the pullback away from what was overhead resistance and the pivot. And that was your early morning trade. Let's see what else we have. Remember, this was all laid out before the opening bell. So we refined things at 9:31. The shorting zone would be 388.50 up to 389. They ultimately had a pullback all the way almost to 386. 387 was an exit that you'll see later. That means traders got somewhere between maybe 12, 15 or more S&P handles. Nice trade. Let's see what else we have. We are the tour guide, so traders that shorted the tape near the top of the zone should be booking profit down around the pivot. It's part of treating it as a business. The bear case is getting below 388.50. You saw what happened on the chart, therefore it was laid out in here along the way. What I urge you to do is pause the video, read the notes, and go back to the chart to double check the work. We were looking for another trade down lower to buy. They didn't get there. However, we're aware of the pivot, so traders can certainly trade around the pivot. Now watch what happens midday and with what type of information. Detailed schematic with numbers, including a chart. So here's what we've got. We've got a tail on time type of situation. I'm laying it out, showing traders what I'm looking at. And so therefore, we either have an on-time pullback with a tail, which could be a clue for a run higher later today, or they get below the tail, negate it, and go to the lower numbers. That's our schematic for the remainder of the day. Above or below the pivot is the key. And here's an hourly chart. We no longer need these lines because what you want to focus on is the move the market is currently making as I make this video. On time, tail, another push higher, laid out before it happened. There's the picture that was laid out to members, and what you can see here is the move has yet to take place. We're telling you, get above the pivot, it's bullish, and you have a tail, and you have an on-time situation. That's a recipe for a move higher. This is the type of information traders inside the numbers are getting each and every day. They get everything I have. So what I suggest you do is subscribe to the channel. I go over this stuff each and every night in the Common Sense Market Analysis videos. As you watch them night after night, you'll decide whether this is something for you and something that you would like to take advantage of.